Hello, welcome. This is Georgia with Perspective Shift. Our special guest today is Kevin Flannery, and he's here to tell the story of ultimate faith in a variety of ways throughout his life. Kevin, how are you today?
I'm doing very well. Hope you are.
I am. I really appreciate you joining me here. Tell me a little bit about your background. I understand that you're a vet and a chaplain.
I am. Well, first off, thank you for having me.
You're
I'm
welcome.
honored and I'm humbled. So, yes, I am a Marine Corps vet. I was in from 82 to 86. I became a chaplain about a year and a half ago. I became saved 6 years ago. I have a very interesting life. Those that knew me as a young child and that knew me as a young adult would not recognize me today. I went from a very angry, the world's out to get me, take care of myself, my immediate circle and forget everybody else person to I have a servant's heart and I care deeply for everybody. So I had a horrible childhood, a product of rape, just a bunch of bad stuff has happened when I was a kid. Ran away from home when I was 12. I spent a whole summer homeless, and then I ended up in foster care. And I suspect my mother had to sign for me because you can't just put yourself in it. But I didn't see her, and every 6 months I ended up in a new foster home. What I didn't realize back then that God had a hold of me the whole time because I did very well in school. I shouldn't be doing because I had no guidance, had no male role model of any kind, didn't have any motherly role model of any kind. My mom hated me.
Why do you think she hated you?
Her mother, my grandmother, was passing away in 85, and I came home in my dress blues and visited in the hospital, and then my mom and I left to go get something to eat, and I was emotional because I was like angry emotional, and she was telling me how proud she was of me, and I was like, well, why have you been so mean to me? Why do you hate me? She broke down. She said, well, your father raped me, and that's how you came about. And I wanted to have an abortion, and my mother wouldn't let me. And every time I see your face, I see him. So I guess I look just like my father. So, but that helped because it helped me understand, like, what did I do? I was just a kid. I say that, but I wouldn't change anything that happened because I don't want anybody's pity. I'm a very loving. My children will tell you that I'm a big softy and I'm a big teddy bear. To get beat senseless as a kid, so I just didn't have it in me to hit them, but they'll tell you I'm a very loving person. I'm now a very kind person, but I didn't used to be as a young man. I spent a lot of time fighting and just pushing people away because I trusted no one. I just figured everybody was out to get me. I also got a strong work ethic from everything that happened as a kid. I was washing dishes, helping the broiler cooks at the restaurant where my mom worked as a waitress, and bussing tables from like 7 till about 11 years old. And the little old lady used to hand me $5 and $10 bills as a tip because I worked my little tush off. But I got tired of being called a ghetto at school because my single young mother in her late teens, early 20s, trying to raise three little kids, me, my brother, and my sister. We didn't have anything. So I wanted to
Right.
buy my own clothes and my own stuff. So when I started wearing nice stuff, I wasn't ghetto boy anymore. So I didn't fight as much. Anyway, I
How
wouldn't
old were
change any of
you?
that though.
How old were you at that time?
Working in the restaurant,
You said 7 to 11. So
7 to 10. I mean, I don't remember the exact years. I was very young and I used to be really teeny. I'm 6'3" and about 270 now. You
wow.
wouldn't be able to tell, but back then I was a runt until I was in the 10th grade.
You mentioned that you would just do things more for you and what outcome you wanted for yourself. Did you have a lot of friends? Did you have a lot of people that knew you and that maybe you distance yourself emotionally from them, but did you have a lot of people surrounding you that you were able to interact with like that? Did they reflect how you were treating people?
So let me back up a little bit. I don't think I really took advantage of anybody. I just pushed people away because I
Right.
didn't trust them. And
Right.
I did have a small circle of friends because before I ran away at 12, I lived with a friend of mine who I'm still friends with now. His parents took me in because they were like, why are you always here? Why aren't you at your house? And I told them, they're like, well, here, you can stay in this room. And they fed me, bought me clothes. I probably stayed
Wow.
with them for my entire seventh or eighth grade year. I had a handful of people I was friends with, but as a child at that age, I used to hitchhike everywhere in Massachusetts. And there's some crazy stories there too I won't get into. I grew up really fast. I was doing things that 20-year-olds should be doing when I was not even a teenager. I started smoking, drinking cigarettes and weed at 10. My mom's boyfriends they'd come home and party after work, and my room was right outside the living room, and their boyfriends start giving it to me. And I'm thankful I never got addicted to it because I saw what happened to them. I
Right.
saw how it
Right.
affected their life. So it turned me. I mean, I drank in the Marine Corps. I drank, but I never ever let it grab a hold of me.
How old were you when you joined the Marine Corps and what led you to choose that path?
I was 17. As I said, the Lord blessed me with a brain and a work ethic. So I had enough credits to graduate at the end of my junior year. But
Wow.
I I wanted to still be in school. I needed something to do. I graduated a few months before the graduating class, and I joined the Marine Corps kind of on a fluke. I wrestled all through high school, and I think I had explained to you one time that it was my way to beat people up without getting in trouble. I wasn't getting suspended from school,
Were you
and
successful in wrestling?
I was very successful. I had 2 scholarships, although I was skinny, but I was a wiry, as a young kid, the older kids used to beat me up. And my older brother, who's now passed away 12 years, 13 years ago, used to beat me up. He didn't beat me up much more after about 12 years old. I was very successful. And I had some scholarship offers to wrestle. They were Division II schools because I was kind of skinny, but I didn't take those. So one of my friends who graduated early, his name was Colin. One day I went to see him, and he's like, "Hey, man," and he was a total nerd, but he said, I'm joining the Marine Corps. I just went to the recruiting station and I'm going to join the Marine Corps. And as a joke, I went to visit my mother and my grandfather. But as a joke, I told them, "Hey, Colin joined the Marine Corps. I think I'll do it." And I got, "Oh my God, you'll never make it. You're this, you're that." I got the same old song and dance that I was a loser and I'd flame out or whatever they said. I don't remember exactly, but it was very negative. I was at the recruiting station the next day. And when I graduated boot camp, I was the guy. So I got a stripe right out of boot camp. If you tell me I can't do it, I'm going to do it. I spent 4 years in the Marine Corps, 82 to 86. And that's a whole story there. If they called me back now and they needed me to go fight, I would do it in a second.
Right. So when you went to UMass, and at any point in time, did you do drugs or anything like that? You were exposed to them as a young child. So how did that addiction in your environment play out from the time that you left up until the point that you were at UMass?
So while I was in the Marine Corps, I did nothing. Obviously you can't,
Right.
nor did I want to. But after I got out and I was in school, I think I still smoke weed sometimes, like socially. If someone had it at a party or whatever, the
Hmm.
peer pressure when you're young like that. I drank when I was in the Marine Corps, but not to excess. Like I never wanted to be in a state of mind that I couldn't defend myself. I always had that
Right.
in my head. I don't want to be
Right.
sloppy drunk where someone can take me out type of deal.
Right.
I'm a very defensive person that way. I'm never going to set myself in a situation I can't do something about it.
Right.
It's like swimming with the sharks, not doing it. I can't fight back.
Right.
So, but the addiction never took me. And I don't drink now. I don't do anything. I haven't in a long time. Even with the situation we're talking about with my wife, it's just not my thing. I know what it does to you.
Yeah. And so let's transition into that now that the listeners have a bit of a background on you. The way that we actually met is one of my friends had posted your fundraiser that you have, and it was for your wife. And that's how we started talking. So can you share a little bit about your wife as much as you're willing to? And then also at the end, mention the fundraiser, of course.
Hope I don't get emotional. Sure. She is the love of my life. She is the first human being that I can honestly tell people that she loves me. Like I know she does, regardless of what's going on with her. She has done so much to make sure I feel loved without me asking. And I would even tell her, you don't have to do these things. Like you're not my
So
slave, you're not my servant.
emotionally safe. She's made you feel emotionally safe.
When her addiction isn't involved.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. When you first
Um,
met, though, like when you first met.
yeah, and she drank back then, but our first few years together, she has issues from her childhood. That's why we're kind of soulmates. We both had crazy childhoods that we could relate to one another.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that bonded us some. But she has still to this day she has paranoia, separation, mistrust issues that is really tough to every man before me has not been very nice to her and treated her as if she was a piece of meat or whatever. I love my wife and I'm attracted to her. I love inside, like I love her soul, I love her heart, I love the person that she is. She is the kindest, sweetest human being I've ever met when she's sober. Like
Right.
just caring for everybody, wants to help everybody. She's a really good cook. I put on a ton of weight since I met her. She's just a wonderful human being, and through all the trials and tribulations, I love her more today than I did when 18 years ago when we met.
Yeah. What is your wife's story that prompted the fundraiser? You mentioned that she had a bad childhood and alcohol addiction. Is that correct?
Yeah, she loves wine, and wine is one of the worst because it's got a high alcohol content. It's full of sugar. So
Yeah.
it's all around bad for your body. She's a
Yeah.
little tiny person. So she managed it well. She owned a salon, she owned a building and everything for 25, 30 years. She sold it during COVID. So we live in South Carolina, but we used to live in North Carolina. And for the
Mm.
first 2.5 years we lived here, she would drive back and forth. She'd leave early Monday morning and come back Thursday night because she had a clientele of 300 and something people that
Wow.
depended on her. And then it
Right.
just got to be too much. It
Right.
just got to be way too much. And her feet, she has neuropathy in her feet. It was starting to bother her. At that time, I was doing great. And I was like, well, you don't have to work. Like that statement you make, I'm going to die behind this chair, not as long as I'm alive. So she
Right.
retired then. And then she ended up getting medical disability a year and a half later. But she's very hard working. Even now, she's very hard working. She always has been. I think part of being retired, though, it's too much idle time for the mind.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So what triggered the events that led up to the fundraiser? What
mm,
you had
so
mentioned that the alcohol.
well, this all got really bad. She was a functional alcoholic. Like a lot of people couldn't tell. I could tell. But over the last 3.5, 4 years, the amount of alcohol and the duration of time she's been drinking really started to show. Basically, her liver wasn't processing the toxin, so it would go straight to her brain. Her cognitive abilities would, she'd, just her eyes would get droopy. She got very short tempered and angry and about everything and nothing,
Right.
paranoid about everything and nothing, anxiety and depression about everything and nothing. So it
Right.
triggered everything. So 3.5 years ago, that started, and she fainted in a store. And she didn't call me; she called her sister, who lived at that time in North Carolina, who called me. And I went and got her, brought her home, and then we found a way, got her into a detox facility, got her in rehab. She came out of that worse than ever. I don't know. Another month later, started bleeding, and had to bring her back in again. They detoxed her again, and she wouldn't go into rehab because the one she went to was just horrible. And so it's been like an on and off thing. I thought she had stopped drinking for about 2 years, and she told me I didn't. I just was able to control it enough that you couldn't tell. Which I don't know how she did that because I can normally tell. Well,
Right.
it got really bad this year, like really bad. She started again, and in June of this year, June 22nd, uh, we both serve at our church. She left early that morning. There's a 9 and 11 service. She left before the 9 o'clock service when she wasn't supposed to. And she was just mad. She thought someone said something they didn't, but it was the alcohol in her mind that made her think something different, the
Right.
paranoia. She wouldn't answer the phone, wouldn't answer my text. And I run the safety team at a massive church. I had to stay there. So the 11 o'clock service is getting ready to start. I look down at my watch, and it's public safety officer. Basically, he tells me, ask my name. I told him. He said, well, don't know how to tell you this, but your wife's in an ambulance. They're on the way to hospital. They're trying to save her life. And I'm like, what? She was in the front seat of her car in the mall right down the street from her house and shot herself. She tried to shoot herself in the heart. The Lord saved her life. And I have no doubt there was several miracles that occurred. She is a small caliber weapon. And when I gave it to her, there's just a lot of craziness going on in this world, which I'm sure you're aware of. I wanted her to be able to protect herself. But I took the hollow point bullets out of it when I gave it to her. Had I not done that, she wouldn't be here. Because
Right.
she's little, she's got little short arms, right handed, try to shoot. Well, the kick of the gun, she missed her heart by an eighth of an inch. She broke two of her ribs. I guess a ricochet, broke two of her ribs, collapsed her lung, and went out her back in the front seat of
Wow.
her car. She
Wow.
didn't pass out. She didn't pass out. She didn't die. I guess she used Bluetooth in her car because after I got to the scene, when the cop told me to come to the scene, I couldn't go to the hospital because they wouldn't let me see her yet. They were trying to save her. He just hugged me, big giant cop with a high and tight and tats all everywhere. He knew I was a man of faith, and I was very emotional. And
Yeah.
he said, we don't have to talk right now. Just give me a hug. And he hugged
Oh,
me and he started praying for me. He said, I'm telling you, this is a miracle. I've never seen anybody shoot themselves that way and be alive and
wow.
talking. He said, I'll tell you, I know it's a miracle because I'm never on this side of town. There's a new trainee that I had to go pick up. And when the call came in, I was at the light right here. You could see the light from where we were standing. It took me seconds to get here. The ambulance that came was at the light on the other side of the mall. Took
Wow.
them a minute to get there.
That gave me
The
chills.
the two mall cops in their golf cart were in front of this Carolina pottery store. I don't know, 150 feet away, whatever it was. They heard the gunshot and saw the muzzle flash. They
Oh,
rushed over there, and because she hadn't passed out, they banged on the window and she opened the door. And I can't remember if he told me he put a towel or a t-shirt because the blood was squirting out. Put
right.
it over her chest. She never passed out. Had she passed out, she'd have bled to death. And we both have Life 360 on our phones. I would have found her there after church. And so that's a miracle,
That
absolute
is
miracle.
that is an absolute miracle, and that's quite a powerful story. Is she in rehab now?
She is. That happened in June. So she was in ICU for 5 days and she almost died twice. And then she was in a combination ICU and behavioral health for 5 days. And then she was in another, basically a guarded facility where you can't hurt yourself for another
Right.
5 days, behavioral health, and got out. She was sober for 83 days, somewhere in that ballpark. And something triggered her, but she started heavy. And
Mm.
then on the 13th of this month, and it just got really bad where she was starting to be mean again. And it was 24 hours a day, nonstop. My office is upstairs, and I come downstairs in the middle of the day and she is just really drunk. And kind of stumbles into my arms and tells me, "I'm so sorry, honey. I need help. I need to detox. Can you please help me get into a detox facility?" She calls her alcoholism the giant. She says, "I want to beat this giant so bad. I just can't do it by myself." Got her to go
Right.
sit in bed. And I got her Blue Cross Blue Shield card out, and we're calling them to see if they could help me find a detox place. And she's talking, all of a sudden her face freezes and her eyes start to like bulge out, and the whites of her eyes turn beet red, her face turned purple, and her lips turned blue, and stopped breathing. Started making weird noises, convulsing. Started having a seizure. Of course, I freaked out, and the ladies tell me, "You got to call 911. You got to get her to the hospital." It lasted, I don't know, 30, 45 seconds. It seemed like 3 days to me. And I convinced her to get in my truck, and I'm taking you to the emergency room. We're not going to ignore this. On the way there, it's like 8 miles away. And where we live, there's light after light after light. And people ride next to each other doing under the speed limit, driving me
Right.
bonkers. So I'm driving through the grass, got my flashers on, breakdown lane, doing 100 miles an hour sometimes. I get her there. When they get her in, they said, I thought it was a stroke. They said, no, it's a seizure. She had some more in the in the emergency room. They admitted her that night, and she was there Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and they discharged her that Thursday afternoon. But in that time, she had 15 more seizures.
Wow.
Now, the
What
more
caused
she
the
got
seizures?
much alcohol, excessive alcohol, and the duration of alcohol. So they did MRIs with contrast, the EEGs. There was no tumor, no aneurysms, no lesions, no nothing. So the doctor said the amount of alcohol she had in her blood, she should not be alive. Like it was, they've never seen that
So
much. So
when
her liver
she
couldn't handle.
when she was drinking in that time frame, not over her lifetime, I'm sure that contributed to the issue at hand, but because she drank a lot of alcohol in the home
Yeah,
at that time is kind of what caused it, even though she had moments of clarity where she was able to ask you for help.
I don't know how clear it was because I could barely understand her, but I think
But I
she
mean,
understood something. Yeah, something bad was happening to her. She
yeah,
knew.
yeah,
Like, and maybe she had a seizure that I didn't know about, but she knew something bad was happening. Like she started to
right,
feel really bad. Well, the
right.
doctor explained it to us the day of discharge because I was worried. I was like, you probably know this, alcohol, and I think it's heroin. There's two drugs that if you try to detox yourself while it's still in you heavy, your heart can stop, you can stop breathing. So I was worried. I said, medically, is she safe to go home? Because I can't handle something if something happens to her. What am I going to do? He's like, medically she's fine, she's not going to, her heart's not going to stop, she's not going to stop breathing, but psychologically and physiologically she's still going to
Yes.
want it,
Yeah.
and you're going to have to deal with that. So while we were there, we found this group, Shoreline found us a place an hour and a half away for her to go into a Christian rehab facility, but they couldn't take her till Saturday. So I brought her home that Thursday. She tried to get me to get it. And the doctor spent half an hour telling us you can never take a sip again. So what it turned out to be, yes, it was that amount that day, but her liver, although it's not cirrhosis yet, is so compromised that the toxins go straight into it. Doesn't filter. It goes straight into the blood and immediately attacks her brain. That's why just one sip makes her, whatever.
Oh, real quick, the thing that's really important for people to understand when they're drinking and they think it's fine and all that, and I am not proclaiming to be an expert on this. So this is just me trying to get clarity and understand. When you drink and you drink a couple drinks, even if it's all week long, right? Over a period of years and stuff, your liver is unable to filter that out, correct? And is that the
If
beginning of cirrhosis? Am I
if in
understanding that correct?
excess. So you can be a social drinker, right? Because I didn't realize until a few years ago that alcohol is a toxin. That's what makes you feel the buzz.
Right,
All these drugs are toxins. That's what makes you feel the buzz.
right,
But alcohol, plus with the sugar, it has
right,
compromised her liver so much over the period of time. Like if she drank just a little bit for her whole life, she probably
right,
wouldn't have a problem. It
right.
was the sustained amount and then excessive amount in the recent past. It all caught up to her. So it would just be like,
Instead
trying
of
to think of a,
filtering, instead of going through her liver to filter it out, it went right to her blood. Is that correct? Because her liver wasn't functioning the right
it
way?
wasn't functioning
Okay.
properly. And
Okay.
the doctor told us, you don't have cirrhosis yet. She's got a fatty liver, but you're not far from it. And the liver is one of the organs that can heal itself if you give it time.
Right.
But once you get cirrhosis, that's the end of it. You won't heal it, and you die a horrible, slow death. And
Right.
he made it very clear. But when we left, she wanted me to take her to get her wine. I wouldn't do it. She wanted to go get it. I wouldn't do it. And she tried to say every horrible, mean thing she could to me to get me to give in again. I
Yeah.
did in the past because it hurt my heart to hear my wife say these things to me. This time, she did it all day Thursday night, all day Friday. And I said, look, if you get in your car, I'm calling the cops and I'm telling them what happened. And I'm going to tell them the doctor told you can't drive for 72 hours from your last seizure, which was Thursday morning at 4 o'clock. I said, if you call the cops on me, I'm going to fight them. Because, 3 years ago, they let you leave this house in an Uber drunk, so drunk you could barely walk.
Wow.
5 hours later, I found you laid out on the beach at the bottom of the steps with people walking by, you passed out and,
Wow.
brought her home. So
Right.
I said, I'll fight them. They're going to lock me up or they're going to shoot me. So is that what you
Right.
want? It was enough to make her not go anywhere and just to be mean to me. But I knew in my heart she didn't mean it. I knew it was the addiction and the alcohol. As I
Right.
said in the beginning, I know she loves me. She's just a wonderful person, and I don't judge her for the addiction. I just don't judge her. I love her, and I'm here to battle with her through thick and thin to help her save herself and to let her find some happiness and peace in her life at some point. So I
Right.
just want to be part of that.
And I think that's important because in marriages and relationships, whether it's family or, a personal, intimate relationship, people will experience all types of hardships within themselves that transfer into behavior. The fact that you are standing by her, regardless of how it's misdirected at you, says a lot about you. And it really is a great testament to people to try and understand that there is no magical, perfect relationship. Everybody has their issues. And maybe people have not experienced the trauma that you or your wife have. But I hope that those people that haven't can see how strong your love is for your wife. I mean, to be able to love somebody from a genuine place when you've experienced so much hardship and to support and also support somebody else is powerful. It's very powerful. And I am really, I don't want to say impressed because I don't think that's the right word, but I'm really happy that you're on the show. And I'm glad that you're telling this story because I think there's people out there that need to hear it on
It's
both
what I'm
ends.
supposed to do.
Yeah.
This is my third marriage. I feel like I took a big part in my first two failing because of my childhood. They grew up wealthy. I did not. I
Right.
wanted them to have all the nice things. So I was married to my work, and I made a
Right.
lot of money back then, but I didn't spend time with them.
Right.
I had my company. I worked as a bouncer at night at a nightclub with a bunch of drunk jarheads there when
Right.
as a civilian then. I helped when Food Lion and Walmart first came out, I helped a company called Control Logic wire all the control panels for their produce and the HVAC and the fire alarm suppression system. So I just worked. I'd sleep a couple hours a day, and then
Yeah.
the little bit of time I had for my daughter, I would spend time with her. So I get along great with my first wife. Now that we're both 60, we were young then, early 20s.
Right.
But I made mistakes. Let's put it that way. I'm far from perfect. I never want anybody to think I'm perfect. I just work really hard every day to do what Jesus would do. And
Right.
obviously, I fail miserably because we're all sinners, but I'm
Mhm.
intentional about what I try to do and not do.
Right.
And
So
one
you
thing,
don't have an agenda. You're not doing something for a specific outcome. You're doing it from a heart space.
amen. And I would jump in front of a bear or a lion or a bus to save my wife's life.
I imagine
It,
you
it,
would probably do those things for a total stranger, right?
I'm that guy. I'm the one that runs to danger. I still
Yeah.
am to this day.
So how's your wife doing now?
Well, supposedly she's still in rehab. She's coming home early, which I obviously have some concern about, but I've given it to God. I do a lot of praying. I pick her up tomorrow at 2, and she doesn't know that I know about the mountain of debt because she gets the mail. I don't really get it. Well, I've been
Right.
getting the mail since she's been gone for a few weeks, and I've discovered the mountain of debt, and it knocked my socks off at first. And I just prayed on it, and it was one of the hardest things I've done in my life to put. I don't know. I guess I felt weak, like I can't
Mhm.
fix this, and to put something out to the world on a crowdfunding thing. I just felt like I was a beggar and weak, and I had some friends say, "You're not. That's not what you're doing. You're doing what a man should do, every possible way to make something happen." And so I prayed, and then I found a person who was first going to charge me to help me get this circulated to lots of people. And
Mhm.
after we went through the story, he helped me craft it. He's like, "I'm not charging you anything." He said, "This is just amazing." And kind of almost the same thing you said, your faith and the love for your wife is awesome.
It's
He said, "I just want to help."
but I think that the most distinctive aspect that stood out to me is your faith in God. And I know
Uh,
that there's a lot of different types of religions. There's a lot of people that don't believe in God, but I think that the fact that you connected with something bigger than yourself, because everybody, I think, well, at least I have had bad experiences at churches where the people in the church weren't necessarily living authentically in a way that reflected what was being preached on the weekends. I've been fortunate because I still have faith. It hasn't burned my heart or my mind, or my belief in God or anything like that. The other point I want to make to you before I forget is that you started your journey in relationships and marriages focused on money and focused on doing to provide for your wife, to be that perfect man who did this, who provided. Now, what was required of you to be that person for your wife in a different kind of way. And I just want to really commend you on overcoming that within yourself, because you are doing far better things in your position in life right now. And I'm certain that when people listen to this, I'm sure there are lots of people that can relate to a lot of parts of your story, that they've been in that position. You know, as a parent, when you're raising kids, whether you're mom or dad, you either misdirect your time for scheduling kids' events, taking them to the doctors, and just cleaning the house and like all those parts, or you're the person that is going to work every day. And really, both partners are still missing out on that connection with each other, which is the breakdown. Yeah. But I just want to commend you and tell people about the link for your wife, because what were the bills? Were they from her recent visits, or were they from?
The biggest one is from when she shot herself. It's well over $400,000. Insurance and healthcare nowadays are kind of a racket. They don't cover a whole lot, but it's over 3.5 years of in and out of rehab, in ambulance rides, detox, in and out of the hospital, tests like crazy. It's all that. It's a Give, Send, Go campaign. That is a wife's journey to recovery, a story of faith. My wife hasn't learned to deal with the guilt and the shame yet, which she shouldn't have, because she's battling. She's trying really hard. She really wants to. I call it battling Goliath. She calls it beat the giant.
Right.
She really, really wants to. So I tried to do it anonymously, but those that know us and love us know who it is, because they've all kind of been going through this with us. And our church has been the best. Jesus changed my life, and I have experienced miracles within my life that I should be dead. I should be in jail. I didn't purposely overdose as a teenager, but I did overdose as a teenager twice. I woke up to my mom screaming at me after they had pumped my stomach. When we left the hospital, we got as far away as she could get, whatever, and then made me get out of the car. And then, there I am again, homeless. This is that summer I was homeless. So God had to save my life, because both of those situations where I was, somebody had to stumble upon me. I have been in situations where something could have happened to me, that if one small decision, I wouldn't be here. All of the things that have gone on through my entire life. So I've had church hurt like you've had. I've tried different denominations. The church I'm in now, they have really changed my mind. Like, I got saved through this church even more than I've been baptized a few times now. But the last time I did in the ocean here with my wife. It was spiritually, I felt cleansed. It still doesn't mean I'm perfect. We're all sinners. Like I try to tell everybody, people think Christians think they're perfect. No, far from it. We know we're sinners. But it changed my heart. I give my heart and my life to you, Lord. I know that you're my Lord and Savior, and I give it to you, right? You profess that, and you literally repent of your sins, and you intentional about not being a sinful person. We all tell a little white lie because we don't want to hurt someone's feelings. We all might curse here and there because we get frustrated, but we're intentional about not doing those things as best we can. The only perfect person who's ever walked the earth is Jesus. It has changed everything about me to be like, I know it's not religion, it's faith, and it's a relationship. And I do my best. That's how I became a chaplain. I want to share the light and the love that I feel, and how God has changed me and changed my heart from a very violent, untrusting jerk, I guess is the best way. And my friends say, you were always nice to us. I said, but how was I to someone who smarted off to me? Well, they deserved it. But I got to turn the other cheek sometimes.
And sometimes in that case, when you're very guarded and unable to trust people, we have a tendency to surround ourselves with people with similar mindsets, so they enable us to continue the behavior. And it ties right into your wife, I'm assuming, was able to disengage and back off from other people, perhaps with the driving from her business and to your home.
Yep.
So she wasn't necessarily surrounding herself with the people. She actually removed herself from the people so she wouldn't be held accountable. So it works both ways is really my point.
It does. It does. And she's also a woman of faith.
Right.
But addiction is strong. And when I was in foster care, I explained, I was forced to get psychiatric help. I had no choice.
Right.
One of the best things as a child that occurred, and I fought it tooth and nail for the first, 3 or 4 sessions, whatever it was, some number of sessions. Then I really started to notice a difference, and like, wow, this person really cares. And I started to look at everything different. No, everybody doesn't hate me. Don't look at yourself as a victim. You're not the things they said you were unless you want to be.
And that's really hard, because a lot of people are still around the same members of family or friends that maybe were in that served as their family.
Yeah.
Keep that voice playing in their mind. So for you, having that medical professional help you work through that was significant. All right. So I really wanted to bring all that together. What is I will link the campaign to help raise support for your wife. And I think the most important thing that I would like, hopefully, your wife sees with the outpouring of support of total strangers. Everybody has been through some kind of struggle in life. And maybe it's not as dramatic as your wife's has been, her inner struggle and her experience as a child in childhood. We can all hope that somebody would do that for us if that happened, that
Yes.
people would support us. And having total strangers show compassion and grace is powerful. And I hope that it serves that purpose for your wife.
I hope so too. I think it's still going to be a journey. I'm scared about tomorrow and I'm excited about tomorrow because I obviously miss her like crazy, and I don't know where she's at in that journey, that her coping skills. And we got an hour and a half drive home. We'll see how that conversation goes about, look, we got to let everything in the past go. We got to dig up the old roots that dug in, that keep on dragging you back to where you're at. And let's plant new roots with Jesus right in the center, right? Because he's got his arms around us and we're going to do this together. Stop trying to do it yourself.
I do wish the best for your wife and prayers for her healing and recovery. And as somebody who has had to support, various people with their own mental health issues, I think asking if there's anything they need sometimes is all they need. Sometimes it's so simple.
Sometimes it's just prayer. Like for me, people praying, because prayer is powerful. The Bible says where two or more gather, he is there.
For sure.
We got a lot of prayer warriors that pray for us, and I'm thankful for that. And I do a lot of praying. And sometimes you got to pray not just because you want something. You got to pray for thanks. But we're going to try this other thing to see if it works, because we've discovered that faith-based things, when we put Jesus in the middle of it, they're much more successful because you know you're not fighting the battle alone. Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and everybody's openly talking about it in the meeting. And I think that's important too. You can't be restricted. If you have strong faith, and which she does, I mean, she's married to a chaplain and she's heavily involved in a church, right? So if she's not able to express that part of herself, then she can't truly be authentic. That's right. So it creates that block. And that's probably the block you were talking about. The reaction that her body had to the alcohol when you took her the last time to the hospital. I'm wondering what damage has it done to her brain and what are her processes for thinking. So that might create a bit more of a challenge for her as well in her recovery.
I can tell in her speech that something's going on.
Yeah.
Because I know she's not been drinking and her speech is not the same.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. Look, if I got to spend the rest of my life wiping her mouth and wiping her butt, I don't care. I just want her happy.
I know. It's sad, but it's also such a miraculous story. The attempts and
God has a plan for her. Like nobody's supposed to survive all this. It's crazy. Like her childhood story. Things happen in her life that is a Jerry Springer show that she shouldn't be here. Right. So God has a plan for this woman. And I think for us as a couple, shining his light to the world on, you're not the product of your environment, your childhood, your upbringing. You're whatever you choose to let God take you to be. And I think that's where we're trying to get to. What I want to do when I'm able to retire, I want to mentor disadvantaged children of every race, color, creed. I could care less, without a father in the home, without a mother in the home, and explain to them same thing that I got as in foster care and how I am now. I want to lift them up and motivate them and tell them whatever you want to be, you can be. It doesn't, your skin color doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters. It matters what you have in here. And now I know if you put Christ in the middle of it, you're going to be much more successful, and stop caring what everybody else thinks about you.
Because when your family fails you, which in your case, miserably, but you still have you have your faith to hold on to. And even though for some people, they need a physical person to see them, it's our hearts, what we feel in our hearts when we love someone or something.
Yeah.
It's a feeling. And that's the same feeling as knowing that God is watching over you. So
no. Even in I say the valleys and the mountaintops, he's there the whole time. We might not see it. People talk about the footprints in the sand. How come I only saw 2 feet? Because God was carrying you.
Right.
Right. You weren't walking yourself. You were in his arms. And that's where I feel like we're going through right now.
Connecting with your faith. And if you don't have faith, then pray for direction.
Reach out to me and I'll pray with you.
Yeah. I was going to say that, but I wasn't sure if I should mention.
Reach out to me and I'll pray with you.
Yeah.
My role as a Christian is to disciple to as many as possible. And it's not to convert them myself. It's not to get them. I did it. It's let Christ use me as a vessel to share the light and love that he's got in me with you. Let me explain to you how he's changed my heart and my life. and you're invited. You take the choice. It's on you.
At its simplest and in simplest form, that's really what it's about. I mean, not religion, but God. But love is who you are. You embody it, and you embody it by first loving yourself, and
Yep.
then you're able to better love people in a way that is kind and has grace. It's not just waving your cross around and, shunning
Well,
some
you don't
people
Bible
and
thump people. Bible thumping drives people away, right?
yeah,
We're called by the Bible to love our neighbors and our enemies. The
right.
second part is a lot more difficult for some because our enemies want to destroy us. People that their hearts and minds were changed because they encountered somebody that didn't give it back to them the way they gave it to them. And that grace that they gave them changed their heart and their mind. And then they hear the story, like some of these street preachers, their stories start off like kind of mine did, and they were
Mhm.
wild and out of control, and they had an experience with Christ, and they're changed, and they are ate up with the Holy Spirit to go share it. I get emotional when I say this. I'm desperate to share Christ's love with people because I don't deserve it, and He gives it to me. It has
And
changed everything about me.
yeah. And I think that's really the message, right? Your wife has strong faith. And sometimes when we lose faith in ourselves, we forget. We get so lost in the emotions. And when it comes to addiction, that is a very different chemical dependency that regardless of what your background is, what your beliefs are, it takes over. And my prayers are with her and keep me updated.
Yep, I will absolutely we'll stay in touch, maybe follow up, and then let me see where she is on our journey. Thank
All
you so
right.
much.
Kevin, again, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me here. Do you have a contact information?
Kate Flannery, 1965 at gmail.com.
Okay.
They can connect there. And then when they just want somebody to pray for them or pray with them, happy to do it. If that's all they want, if they want someone to bend their ear and just have me go on mute, happy to do that too.
Okay. Awesome. Kevin, again, thank you so much. And to our listeners, thank you for listening. And this is Georgia with Perspective Shift. All the links will be in the description box. Until next time, take care of you. Bye.
God bless you all.